Let's continue on with our lessons, and we're going to start now chapter 5. Chapter 5 deals with sketches. Sketches is important to us because we're going to use this tool as something that we can quickly draw our idea or our concept down with, and we can modify it in a pretty quick way. Now, the last assignment that we have done focused on using lines and circles and these other shapes, but sketches really help us to draw these things and these different types of shapes more quickly. So let's go ahead and look at the, let's go ahead and select our role. Let's make a new part. And let's start drawing our first sketch. I'm covering right now section 5.2 in the textbook. So to draw a sketch, what we're going to do is we're just going to go to Insert Sketch. You can also access this menu at the bottom of your screen. You'll see the Sketch toolbar. So let's just go to Insert Sketch. Now when we select Insert Sketch, another menu pops up. It gives us some options to pick mainly which plane our sketch is going to be drawn on. Now, when we draw these lines, just like we did before with the other basic curves, you can see the plane that we're going to start on. And that plane is going to be and the default one when I click OK, is going to be the XY plane. As you can see this blue square that's here. Let's go to our top view like we have been doing, and we can see the plane that we're going to be drawing on. Now the first step is to select, let's go down to our sketch menu. I want to add another icon here that is not here, just because as we do our sketch, there's a particular option that I don't like, and I want to add it. So we'll remove it. Let's go to Add or Remove button. Direct Sketch. And when I'm going to click here, so I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to go ahead and click, let's see, Continuous Auto Dimension. I'm going to click this option. And you may want to do this also as we begin our drawings. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the profile. I'm going to go ahead and select this Continuous Auto Dimension. I'm going to turn it off, because I don't want to get too many dimensions, and I don't particularly like that option, so I'm going to turn it off. And so let's start drawing our profile. So in the text, it gives us some shape like this. And let's go ahead and just quickly sketch it. Okay. And to end this profile, I'm just going to click this button. So now we've drawn our shape. One of the things that we would like to do is to draw now a shape with particular dimensions. In the first assignment, you weren't worried so much about dimensions as you were with just getting the lines and everything lined up. And now that we have the profile, let's look a little bit now into defining the dimensions that we're going to be doing with. So to do that, let's click on this option here. So this option gives us several different parameters where we can define the dimensions. I'm going to click Insert Dimensions. When we click Insert Dimensions, we have a menu that pops up, several menus. I'm going to select this one, which is Sketch Dimension Dialog. And I'm going to click it. Now I can select the Infer dimension. So it's going to guess, if I click this, it's going to guess that that's the dimension I want to measure. It's not going to measure the height. If I measure this one, it's going to measure the length. So I don't have to specify horizontal dimension, vertical dimension. The computer's doing it for me when I have inferred selected. So let's go ahead and put dimensions to the shape. Okay. Let me close this. So now you see now that I have dimensions, What I can do is I can go in now and change the dimensions to what I want the shape to look like. Exactly the dimensions that I'm looking for. Let's go now to change these to the ones that are in our textbook. So this dimension in our textbook is 5.5. And millimeters, we can select millimeters, inches, whatever you would like. I'm just going to leave it as millimeters for now, and don't worry about getting the exact specific dimension in the future. But let's just use millimeters for now. So it says that's 5.5 millimeters. Let's set this one as 5 millimeters. Let's set this height here as 3 millimeters. We'll set this length as 1. And we'll set this length as 0.75. Okay, so what you guys see now, let me go ahead and rebring this here. And let me go ahead and remove these dimensions now. Oops. Let me go ahead and remove these dimensions. I'm going to go ahead and delete them off so we don't see them anymore, so that it looks so quite so cluttered. And you can see our shape. So if you want to go ahead and finish the sketch, you can finish it. So here is a sketch that we drew quickly with specific dimensions and relatively easy, creating a relatively easy shape with this profile tool. If we double click again on this, just left click or double click on the shape itself, we can go in and change some of the things. Let's say I wanted to know what are the dimensions of this. I want to publish those. So we'll select the insert dimensions. Let's make sure that we're right. Okay, this is 5.5. That's right. This is 1. That's not right. We go ahead and change that. Let's select a few of these other ones. That's 3. That's correct. That's correct. It looks like I switched these, so let's go in and modify them. So this one should be 1, and I'll push enter. This one should be 0.75, and I'll push enter. So there you go. That's how we draw something with specific dimensions, and that's something that we can do quickly. And I should mention that whenever we're done with this sketch, make sure you click this Finish Sketch icon along the bottom. Let's try this now. Let's try a new sketch. Let's go ahead and select a new sketch. We're going to leave everything the same. Just keep the default values. They're drawing on the same plane. Let's make a right triangle. And let's put dimensions to this right triangle. So let's make a hypotenuse. Oops, and I see I forgot to remove this continuous dimension. I don't want to include that now. And let me start over and go ahead and make this right triangle. Okay. I'm done with that. I'm going to click Profile. Now, I want to go ahead and find out what angle this is, and I want to modify it to be 38 degrees. So to do that, we can go to our Import Dimensions. We can select the same Sketch Dimensions dialog. And instead of selecting Insert Point, let's go ahead and select this one. It's called Angular. So we'll click Angular. So the angle, it determines the angle between these two points. So let's go ahead and select the first point. And the angle that I want to find it between is this one. So the angle right now is 51 degrees. If I rotate it, you can see I can measure different angle lengths. And you can play with this function and see what other things you can do to modify this. But for now, let's just go ahead and say that I want to measure this particular angle. And I want to adjust this angle. So now I can select it and I can modify this. Let's say I want it to be 38 degrees. So now we have created this angle that is 38 degrees, and it's automatically adjusted the shape of this triangle in order to keep this as a 38-degree right triangle here. So this is adjusted. So you see how we can use that. So I'm going to go ahead and click Finish Sketch now. Then let's do one more example. For now I'm going to show you how to use perpendicular and parallel sketching dimensions. So let's click on the let's go ahead and draw this shape that's in your textbook. And you see how nice the profile is. It lets us create lines that are, if I come here and I want it to end here, I can just draw the drop down line and it snaps into place. And what I really want to do is just close this off. And drag this as a shape. Okay. Let me go ahead and click this profile button. So a few things, and we're not going to be worrying so much about the dimensions in this one. It's just the two functions that I'm going to teach you. One of them is a measurement of length. And let's start with measuring so we'll click Insert Dimension. We'll go to our Sketch Dimensions dialog. And we're going to use these, perpendicular and parallel. You can use these also, so horizontal will take a measurement of something that is horizontal. So this would be 3.9. That's our horizontal dimension. Likewise, vertical will measure something that is vertical, so we can measure that as 2.9. So when we delete that, I'll go ahead and delete these. I'm going to look at parallel and perpendicular. Let's start with parallel. So parallel, we're just measuring the distance that is parallel to this line. You can see I can also adjust the location of the dimension. Just like the others, I can go in and change the length of this particular line if I want to. Let's do also now perpendicular shape. So the perpendicular shape we have, we will measure the line perpendicular to these two points. So it gives us a few more tools, and you can move the dimensions if you like. If it's not coming in the screen for you, and you can select them and you can move them around however you feel comfortable doing it. But those are basically some of the tools we use. I'll click Finish Sketch, and that's an introduction to sketching in NX, which we can use to really convey our idea with dimensions, with units, with specific lengths. We're talking about units now, but we really haven't talked too much about tolerances and some other components that we need to get into. But I think now you have a really good idea of how to make something in 2 dimensions that is quick and lets us get our idea across. So in the next few lessons, we're going to be talking about the rest of Chapter 5 and continuing on to Chapter 5, which is defining a geometric constraint.